What's going on, everyone? Welcome into another episode of Expected Bets 4 presented by the Odds Breakers. On today's episode, we'll be breaking down the slate for November 16th. Should be a good one. We got the NHL Global Series starting up, and as well as a few other key matchups that we'll talk about. Before we get into that, let's bring in the rest of the crew. Franco, how we doing?
Doing great, man. I'm excited. Turn it around a little bit in the NHL, and these next 2 days feel like some good matchups we got coming up. So pretty excited.
Yeah, for sure. Betzky, how about you?
Yeah, I agree. I had a really nice night last night.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and this weekend wasn't too bad. It seems like more and more of the things that are expected to happen are starting to happen. Where I felt like in this first couple of weeks, it was like you're getting 50% of it. It felt kind of like All-Star break time period, like around January, when it's like some guys are doing things, but not everybody. So.
Yeah, exactly. October is always a little bit of a up and down swing with guys kind of coming out of nowhere and your major stars not really performing or hitting, even coming close to their shots on goal numbers.
Well, and then some of them will just blow past it. So
yeah,
it seems like people have big games rather than consistent games. So you feel like you just left coin on the table all the time. So it makes you get greedier with everything, I think. And looking back, it's you should just hammer overs for every game. And I think they hit at a 60% rate early into the season. And now it's going to slow down, which means there's going to be more shots. There'll be less blowouts. It'll be good.
Yeah, it's crazy too. I'm looking at the over-under trends of the season. It's 110 to 113, so pretty much 50-50 already with just how close these totals are set at, which is insane to think about that the bookmakers are that good at setting those lines.
I actually figured it was higher on the overs because I count them every once in a while, and I felt like every day I was looking at them. Of course, I'm probably looking at them on days where there's a lot of big scores, so.
Yeah,
you got to factor in that there's always going to be those high ones where there's 7 set, and if it pushes and stuff like that, and
yeah,
it makes it weird. It's not like a couple of years ago where everything was set at 5.5, and then they would move to 6. Those days are over.
Long gone.
Yeah.
All right, how about Nathan McKinnon over 4.5 shots on goal for plus money?
Yeah, those days are long gone.
Yeah.
It's all right.
All right, let's get into the first game here. We got Detroit versus Ottawa, which is game 1 of the NHL Global Series. We got 4 games kind of across the next few days taking place in Sweden, so be sure to target all of your Swedish descent players in those ones. Obviously, Nylander not born in Sweden, but does have Swedish heritage and played for their World Junior team, so he'll be a popular anytime goal scorer, point, shots on goal, you name it. It's going to be Nylander heavy, I'm sure, on Friday and Sunday when Toronto plays over there. But the first game tomorrow, we have Detroit and Ottawa. It starts at 2 p.m., so a little afternoon hockey, which is nice. Detroit plus 100 in that matchup. Ottawa minus 120, over-under set at 6.5 here. These teams did play earlier this season where Detroit won 5-2, but it should be a good first game, I guess. I mean, Ottawa's really struggled to start this season. Detroit's kind of found their groove here, sitting in third in the Atlantic. But I'll start with you here, Franco. Any looks in this game?
Well, the Swedish descent guy to target here is Raymond. I don't love it just based on what he's done so far this season. And really, I feel like he's been kind of a disappointment, at least to start, right? He had a little bit of something going his rookie year, and now it's like you're not really sure what you're getting out of him. Hopefully it turns around, though. I mean, I think the talent's still there, so you would assume he's got a ton of family there, friends, family, all that fun stuff. So I would assume his point prop, if it's even bettable, is going to be, or available, should I say, should be probably plus money or even money typically. So another thing I'm kind of considering too is I know that a lot of these players aren't necessarily Swedish born, but a lot of these European born players are probably going to have friends and family there as well. So, I mean, we can target guys like Stützle and Mo Sider even for that matter. I mean, how many times are relatives from Germany coming to the U.S. to watch their games? So I tend to kind of pivot towards a little bit more of the talent as opposed to the matchup. I probably will sprinkle Raymond, but I tend to lean more towards the more talented guys. And Stützle's been so damn good this year. Sider had, I believe, 2 points in that game earlier this year when Detroit scored 5 goals. So I like to look at those angles more than anything, I think, in this matchup. Feels like an over on the surface. I don't really want to pick a side. Both these teams have been kind of struggling overall, I would say. Like 2 wins each of them for each of their last 5. So
yeah, back and forth.
Yeah, it's like, and it's not like it's in Ottawa where they're going to get like revenge for that previous matchup. So I don't know. I don't really want to pick a side. I would just probably lean goals. I really just want to see how these games play out. I know these guys have been there for a few days now at this point, so there shouldn't be too much of a weird like jet lag or any kind of weird stuff with the time changes, I would hope. But hopefully we don't see like that sluggish start where that first period is just like back and forth with no real chances and kind of like low event hockey. I hope this is just going to be, these games are all going to be fun, exciting games, and these guys are going to show up and show out and want to, prove themselves overseas.
Yeah, I mean, the last time these teams played was November 11th, so they've been over there for a few days at least, so they should be pretty acclimated to the time zone change. But Betzky, any looks for you in this one?
Yeah, one thing I remember this last season too with the Euro games. Are they on European ice, which is much wider?
So
I believe they would be.
Great for last season until the game, and it's like, oh great, they're on Euro ice.
Yeah,
which seemed to affect the Nashville San Jose series more than it did the Colorado Columbus one, which was when both, I think, the Sharks Nashville were in Czechoslovakia because Hurdle, right? And then the other one was in Finland because of Lane. That always tends to be a concern for me too, especially for higher scoring games. And a little bit on your shot. So just something to kind of think about. I don't know which way I would take this. I like looking at the other Euros as well. I like the Stützle call quite a bit. I'd probably not do the over here until we have a better understanding of what size ice it's going to be on. The other
maybe like game 2 of these teams, like when they're there, not the first game they play, but like maybe like the second matchup.
That's kind of how I'm going to approach it, or even wait till the Friday game. Another one that I would circle as far as a maybe do not touch though is DeBrincat, because Ottawa shut him down in the game in Ottawa. I don't think he even got a shot off, and everybody was kind of doing this big revenge narrative with him. I know it was a away game and he's better at home. This is not really an away or home, so who knows? I could be totally wrong here, but I'm not touching him because not only did they shut him down, Detroit killed Ottawa that game and frustrated them all day. And if they go back to spending the whole game just trying to punish DeBrincat, it could be a similar situation, and Detroit will be happy with the win if Ottawa's too distracted pushing him around all game again. So Larkin's been kind of hit or miss lately as well. He would normally be somebody I'd like to target. Ottawa's been good against shots. It's going to be kind of a game where I'm probably going to try to find some more like hidden gem type props, maybe a chicken point again, or maybe even look at maybe Detroit power play for getting back on board. They've been struggling a little bit lately after being red hot, though.
Yeah, Detroit obviously hasn't scored a power play goal in their last 3 games there, but they did score or convert 3 of 5 last time these teams played. So could be worth a look. Maybe it's kind of their time to get off the schneid, it seems like. But
totally. But overall, I think first Euro game of the weekend, this may be the one I just kind of sit back and enjoy rather than stressing out shots and goal.
Yeah, and I mean you can grab something live too if you're watching it and you see that it looks open and looks like exciting. Then grab a live over. I think that's probably the better route than trying to grab any kind of total or anything like that pregame for sure. And one more note on the DeBrincat thing. Like, I don't think that he necessarily feels like any kind of way towards Ottawa, whereas they feel a way towards him. So, like, typically, like, when you want to bet a revenge angle, it's like, you traded me, you didn't feel like I was good enough, that type of thing. Like, I don't think he wanted to be there. So, like, I don't think he gives a shit, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, he's just like, yeah, this is just another team, and they probably are like, I hate this guy. So, yeah, I don't think it's like your typical revenge narrative in that scenario. So, I agree with you there.
Yeah. Next game up on the slate here, we have Arizona at Columbus. Columbus is a home dog in this, -105 on the money line. Arizona -115, over under set at 6.5 here, juice to the over. Columbus is on a skid right now, losing their last 6 games here. But during that span, the over is 5-1 here, so that's possibly a look. Betzky, I'll throw it to you first in this game here. What is your thoughts on your Coyotes matching up against the Blue Jackets in this one? Do you think they stay? I mean, they've kind of been back and forth. It seems like it's not like they've really been on a tear of finding consistent wins, but Columbus is struggling right now.
Yeah, which makes me really think that it's going to be a Columbus out the gate type game. I know Fantilli was in the interview talking about how much he hates losing. They got some issues. Came out the gates looking halfway decent, kind of like the way Coyotes did, kind of going up and down, playing a much harder, 2 to 3 type games, 3 to 4 games rather than big blowouts. And they just can't seem to keep it together right now. I would lean Columbus here though, especially as home dogs. I kind of like that look. Arizona came off a overtime loss to Dallas. They were able to kind of keep up with them. They had a big win against Nashville, so it's not like this has been a total disaster of a road trip and they just need a win. I'd like to see Jenner get back on track here. I think shots are going up against Arizona again. I noticed that they were pretty decent about suppressing shots, or much better than they were last year, but old habits die hard, and I think they've been allowing like 35 plus the past couple games. So I want to grab a motivated Fantilli too. He's been fantastic lately as far as the shots on goal department, and he's like one of those guys, kind of like McTavish, where you can get really nice value on it still, and kind of in the plus money area. Those are two that just kind of pop out in my head right now. Caller's heating up again after being kind of slumping a little bit, so that's a nice shots on goal parlay piece. And then, I mean, Michelli's missed a point in, I think, 3 games now, so kind of makes me want to jump right back on that wagon, because I can't imagine he's going to go that long without a point.
Yeah, it's I mean, the shots on goal is certainly to be, you can argue for both sides in this matchup. It seems like Columbus has given up 40 their past 2 games, and Arizona's given up 36 and 42. So both sides are going to be.
The only problem I have with the Arizona side is the lack of options right now, because you got Kraus, Cooley, Schmaltz that generally hang at 1.5. Hayton's really been not consistent again. So really your only option after that, unless you want parlay pieces, is Keller. But
Dursey,
but I think he's usually set at 1.5 too. Yeah. So again, I mean, you got plenty of parlay pieces. That may be even a great like FanDuel same game parlay. Just grab them at 2, and maybe take someone like Dursey up to 3, because Columbus allowed the 3rd most shots to defensemen.
Yeah. Franco, any looks for you in this one?
Not much for me here. I just like Columbus doesn't excite me with the way they're playing, and kind of like you said, it's the other guys. It's not Goudreau and Jenner that are producing. It's Tessier scored the other day. I think Marchenko got hurt, right? Is he good though? Like I know he left that game. I don't know if he came back, but I know he scored as well the other day. So that's something to consider as well. I guess he did, because his ice time looks all right. So But yeah, I mean, like the big guys that are supposed to be producing on this Columbus team are just not doing it. So when's that going to change? And when it's Fantilli that's the one speaking up and not Gaudreau or Jenner to the media, it's kind of like a problem. I saw they cut Emil Benstrom today as well, so that was kind of
weird.
yeah. So I would assume he's probably going to land somewhere else, unless I don't know what his contract situation is. But yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of turmoil with this team, like internally in the locker room. It started with the Babcock thing, and I don't think that it ever kind of repaired itself. And you have these young guys that have some talent, and maybe they're trying to make a push for leadership roles on this team, and then you have the veterans that I don't see much leadership coming from them, and it's kind of disappointing, to be honest. Like a guy like Gaudreau and Jenner would be leading this team, and they're doing nothing. I mean, Gaudreau has averaged like one shot a game his last like 3 or 4 games. That's not the player that I remember a few years back. So, yeah, I mean, I get your angle though, as far as maybe leading them to win this game. They're due for a win, I guess, but I can't back them. And if anything, I'm looking at like a Keller assist or something like that, because he has a pretty good history against them, and he's just been awesome. So that's probably the only thing I would really grab here.
I was hoping the Columbus penalty kill was worse than it is, but it's shockingly third best right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. It doesn't even make sense.
All right, next game up, we have New Jersey at Pittsburgh. New Jersey road dog here, plus 125, I believe, on the money line. Pittsburgh minus 150, over under set at 6.5 here, juice the over. Pittsburgh's on a little bit of a streak right now. They've won 5 straight after kind of a up and down start to the season. We talked about it. We wondered when this team would kind of really get going and find their groove, and it seems they have. Some pretty impressive wins during that span. Obviously, over the Kings is one, but outside of that too, I mean, you look at it and you're like, all right, 5 wins in a row here. But they beat Columbus, who's struggling. They beat Buffalo, who hasn't really shown anything this year. Anaheim, it's just a good win. Anaheim's been pretty decent. And then San Jose. So pretty relatively easy stretch for them. Like they kind of did what they needed to do during that 5-game span of picking up wins and moving themselves into contention now in the Metro. New Jersey, on the other hand, they look bad. After Hughes is out now, they've lost 3 straight. Heischer's still out too.
Yeah.
This team just looks lost without him. So I feel like Pitt should be minus 148, minus 150 is kind of a steal for Pittsburgh, I feel like, in this game, but it feels like a trap. It feels like one of those games where you're looking at Pittsburgh money line, Pittsburgh in regulation. You're like, oh, it's plus money. It should be a free win. And then New Jersey somehow puts together a performance. So I'm curious to hear what you guys' thoughts are on this. I'll start with you, Franco.
Yeah, I mean, these are 2 teams that hate each other. It's a big rivalry. So there's always that angle of you never know what's really going to happen here, that the Devils could get up for it and stuff like that. But I mean, you're talking about your 2 best centers that you're losing. So not only are you missing Hughes' like ability to create and enter the zone and get that offense going, especially in the power play, you're also missing Heischer, who's been just incredible defensively. So it really hurts when you get gutted down the middle of the ice, and their defensive game has been awful this year. They were a good, solid defensive team last year, and I know, the blue lines changed a little bit, but it seems like every game they're giving up 4 to 5 goals every single game. So they need to score 5 or 6 to win, and I just don't see that from this offense without that creativity of Hughes. I don't know. I told you before when we were talking about this matchup that I've found myself watching a few of these games the last few nights, and the offense just doesn't look right, and they seem to be only scoring on power play opportunities, and that's making these scores look better than what they actually are. I mean, I was on the over in that Washington game, and I got 4 goals out of Washington. I'm like, this is going to sail over, right?
Yeah.
New Jersey can't get anything like the entire game. I know they finished with 2, but like they didn't score those 2 until like the 10-minute mark of the third period. I mean, that second period, there's nothing going, man. I mean, so it just doesn't look good right now for this team. So I would definitely lean Pittsburgh. Definitely lean Pittsburgh props. Crosby's been awesome.
Yeah.
4 goals in his last 3. I know he had a hattie, but yeah, pretty much any Pittsburgh prop on the top 2 lines. They all look good. They all have great history against New Jersey. Brian Rust surprisingly is the best, 16 points in 14 games played. So
wow,
usually bettable. That's the last 3 years. He's usually bettable. Anywhere from like -120 to -140, like worst case. He's always better at home. So I like that look a lot because you're never going to get Crosby at a bettable price. You can maybe do like his over 1.5 points or something like that.
Which he doesn't hit often. He doesn't hit. I took him last night because he has such great history against Columbus, but this isn't I think yesterday was only his 3rd time all season, which is always shocking to me. McKinnon's kind of like that too, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're almost better like with a guy like Crosby, just like splitting a unit between his goal and his assist prop, and you're going to come out on top because both are going to be plus money.
Both are
most
one will hit.
At least one would hit. So, I mean, he has 16 points in 16 games against them, but again, that's just a point per game. So, I don't know. I definitely would lean that way. And Meyer actually has been surprisingly a lot better recently as well for the Devils. So if I'm gonna go that angle there, if I want to do something on New Jersey's side, he has 3 goals in his last 3, 6 points in 5 games against Pittsburgh the last 3 years. So not a bad pivot if you do think New Jersey has a bounce back here.
Yeah, Betzky, any looks for you?
Yeah, you nailed quite a bit of them. One that stood out for me too, though, was Gensel shots. Jersey are allowing the 4th most of the left wings. He's always better at home. Rust is too, but Jersey's a little bit tougher on right wingers. He's like one of those guys that really pops off, and you're going to hit when he gets rolling in the game, or it's not going to happen pretty early in. So I don't know. He's one that I have circled here. Riley Smith's been really good for the Penguins too. So if you can get his point prop at a good value still, he kind of reminds me of the William Karlsson of the point props of the season where, gosh, he's hitting in almost every single game and he's still -115 to +120.
Yeah, I can't believe that price on him, to be honest with you.
What was that?
I can't believe that price on him. Like, it's always even money or +110.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the I had the left wing circled as well, but I think New Jersey power play points is probably the only angle you're looking for them here in this one. I mean, 2 for 5, 0 for 4, and then 2 for 6. That's the only way they're generating offense, like Franco said. So I don't hate that look. Maybe you're looking at like a Meyer or Hamilton on that one as well. Both have been hitting at a decent rate as of late, it feels like. So maybe some value there.
Pittsburgh does have a top 10 penalty kill, the 10th best right now. But I mean, if you're only scoring on the power play, yeah,
and Pittsburgh doesn't take a lot of penalties either, so that's a tough one.
There could be penalties because this is going to be. You would expect this to be a chippy game though between these two teams. So you could see that.
I agree. Next game up on the slate here, we have Vancouver at Calgary. Calgary -125 with the money line. Vancouver +105, over under at 6.5 here, -120 to the over. Vancouver has been on a tear, winning 8 of the last 10. They look so good. Calgary finally kind of got off the schneid. It seems like they're on that losing streak for a while. They've won 3 of their last 5 here in terms of plays here. I think this is going to be one of the better games on the slate. It's going to be tough to pick a side in this one, but I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. My only really angles in this one are going to be Calgary shots on goal targets. Vancouver gives up the 6th most to left wingers and 11th most to centers. So that's going to be kind of where I'd look in this one, but I'll start with you here, Betzky. Any looks in this game?
It's another back-to-back game where I'm going to plant my flag and say I want to see how Vancouver looks tonight against the Islanders. I just checked. Demko is likely to start tonight, so this may be a good spot for an over, but I've gotten burned by Calgary. No pun intended. The past couple games with going for overs because they've been getting solid goaltending.
DeSmith has been good.
Yeah. Well, no, that's for Vancouver.
But that would be likely your starter tomorrow if it is.
Yeah, and he's been good enough. But who's been starting for Calgary?
Markstrom started last night. But
okay, he did. I didn't know if Wolf did or not.
I think it was Vladar, Wolf, Markstrom the last 3 games.
Another angle that I've been kind of taking all season is Pettersson points over 1.5 points when he's on the road because he's a lot more productive there. Again, I'm going to kind of see how Vancouver look tonight. I almost want to say a Calgary money line would look really nice.
Don't do it, man.
I know that's crazy, but I don't know. They seem a little bit like they're figuring things out, like they've adjusted to new coaching, that they're kind of getting things more under control. I know some of the top defenders are in trade rumors right now, but who knows if that's actually real or not. The other thing that's been a cash cow is Vancouver power play points. And one night I took Hughes, Miller, and Pettersson, and they all got it on the first goal of the game. So it's not the worst place to kind of find some extra value, but Calgary's got a great penalty kill as well. They're 4th best. So this is like one of those weird mismatch ones where you really want to jump on it, and it may be best to restrain yourself a little bit unless you got some sneaky props over there, Franco.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you have to go Vancouver angles as far as point props and stuff like that. The one that stuck out for me is JT Miller. He's been kind of heating up recently. 2 goals, 3 assists in his last 3 games, which is even better than Pettersson's recent form. Against them historically, 13 assists in 17 games played. I know his point prop isn't going to be bettable, but maybe go for that assist angle there. Besser also has a pretty good history against them as well. So I kind of lean those guys over your typical the Pettersson line that's been awesome as well. I mean, it feels like you can't really go wrong with this team. They're just rolling. So the one thing I want to consider with Vancouver though is they are due for regression, and everybody keeps saying it. I've seen a few people posting about it, but their expected goals numbers and then their actual goals is just like insane, the difference between them. So expected goals for is 26.7, but they have 39 scored. So at some point that shooting percentage is going to come down. I know they've been awesome, and I don't think that it's going to come down super drastically or anything like that, but just something to consider. We saw it a couple of games ago against Toronto where they just really couldn't get anything going. Only 2 goals scored. I know they just bounced right back and scored 5 against Montreal the next game. So it kind of, makes my point look silly, but they seem like they're scoring 5 or 6 goals every game. And I think at some point that's not going to be what the reality is. At least that's what the numbers are saying. So keep riding it while we're riding it, and let's have some fun. But maybe Calgary is starting to figure it out in the defensive zone. They have gotten better since Anderson's gotten back, so that helps them a little bit as well. I know they were hurting without him, so I don't know. I lean Vancouver. I probably lean the over, despite what I'm saying about the regression for Vancouver. So I feel like Vancouver's an over team, and especially if we're going to be getting to Smith, even though he's been good, I still would rather have Demko if I'm going to be betting an under. So, yeah, probably main thing would be that Miller prop. That's probably where I'm going to end up. Miller assists. So
let's say Vancouver wins tonight 2-1. Do you
then
do
gotta
over
hammer
in
the
Calgary
over.
tomorrow?
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, does the Horvat return game tonight like play any emotional role on the players on Vancouver? Like these guys are all the same. It's all the same guys. The last
Yeah.
Obviously there's some minor changes, but the majority of this team is still the same guys that played with Horvat for all those years. So I don't know. We'll see how this game goes tonight. I think it's going to be an interesting one, but
Me too.
maybe that does wear on them tomorrow, and we see a dud out of them.
At what point do you stop betting Heronic assist?
That's the other thing too. I mean, he's been money, right?
He's hitting his last 10, and it's still plus money.
It's insane. I feel like the books are doing what we do when you're like, I'm just going to keep riding it until it fails. But they're like, I guess just keep on giving it plus money because at one day, as more and more people know, it's at some point they're going to have to miss. So let's keep the bait. But they keep on getting hosed by it. I'm off of him tonight. Let's see if it's the right decision or not.
Yeah, plus 124 right now, which is insane. He just
Good.
keeps
I won't
cashing.
grab it tonight. I have yet to bet him this year. I don't know why.
Oh, really?
I'm like, I'm the idiot that keeps saying tonight's the night. I don't want to hop on because if I hop on, it's going to lose. So I won't hop on tonight since you're saying you're not betting it. There's no way in hell that I'm going to kill the streak tonight. So it'll probably hit tonight, and then it will fail tomorrow when I hit it. So.
Yeah. All right. Last game that we'll talk about on the slate tomorrow. We have Florida at the Kings here. The Kings are home favorites in this one, minus 135. Florida plus 115. LA's on their third game of a 4-game homestand. Florida's on their second game of a 4-game West Coast road trip. Florida obviously red hot, winning 5 straight. The Kings have only won 1 game at home.
What?
And they're undefeated on the road.
They're like the Devils of last year, almost.
Yeah.
Devils were like
I wanted to bring that up.
That's insane.
Because Florida at plus money feels like just the easiest play. But does LA put together a performance tonight or tomorrow that they kind of right the ship at home? But yeah, I was going through it today and I realized that. I was like, that's an interesting one for sure. But Franco, I'll start with you here. Any looks in this one?
Yeah, I was just looking to see if there's any, like if one of them was going to be traveling after these games or anything like that. See if there's going to be any kind of weird spot there, but they're right in the middle of each of their respective trips. So, I mean, I'll start with the obvious. Reinhardt, again, is just like, who the hell is this guy? This is. Do you remember this guy in Buffalo? Because like I don't remember him in Buffalo being this guy, right? 3
Isn't
goals,
he
5
due for a
assists.
contract.
He was always Reinhardt was always like Eichel's like Robin basically, but it was never like
not this.
He showed flashes for sure, but he was never like given kind of the spotlight or the reins to just kind of.
But I feel like even here, he's not like the spotlight guy.
No.
I mean, you got Kachuk, you got Barkov. I mean, it's.
But you remember who they were playing under of Kruger, who had the talented team of young speed and was like, you know what, we're going to play a trap in a defensive system. So, I mean, it's not like, it's not like they were encouraged to push the puck either.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this Florida team just plays on another level sometimes. So, yeah, I mean, this guy is just, how can you not continue to back him? And you're getting good prices on his goal prop. It's not like you're getting him at like plus 115, plus 120. He's still been around like 150, 160, I think, most nights. So I think you got to go back to him there. Kachuk's been heating up as well.
Yeah.
5 assists in his last 3 games. I know you were on his 2 points the other day, right, Betzky? So,
yeah.
I mean, this team is clicking on all cylinders, and it's everyone. It's not just one guy. Verhaeghe's has 5 points in 3 games. Barkov 4 points in 3 games. So
he's been incredible.
Evan Rodriguez, even, it's all the lines are rolling. Take the value, whatever you can find. Oliver Ekman Larson has 3 points. Vancouver was like, get this guy off our team, and he's revitalized, right? I mean, it's pretty crazy to see that. So they have him playing at kind of what he was a few years ago. He's a point-producing defenseman, and it's good to see. I mean, good to have him back, kind of, I guess,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So, I mean, I know you probably enjoyed him when he was on the Yotes a few years back, and
I mean, he was incredible he had a run over here that was just
awesome.
spectacular.
And I mean, on the other side, you got Kempe, who's been red hot for LA. So, I mean, I know the Kings' home form is kind of worrying, I guess. And Florida has been relatively stingy, I guess. So they're not giving up a ton of goals, but again, their recent games haven't been against the toughest of teams: San Jose, Chicago, Washington, CBJ, with Carolina sprinkled in there in the middle. So, I mean, I guess I lean over here. Love Reinhardt, love Kempe. Will they ever offer us Byfield point props? Who knows? He's been still super productive and still no point props offered. So they'll wait until the one game when he finally gives us a goose egg, and that'll be the day that we get his bet to bet. So that's where I'm landing for this.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, LA obviously coming off 2 losses to Pittsburgh and Philly, but it feels like a spot. It's really a get right spot for them coming off that loss to Philly. And then Florida's coming off a win against San Jose where they're actually trailing at one point, which is kind of crazy. So I don't know. Betzky, what are your thoughts on this one?
You know, Fiala was one of those shots on goal props where I think he was like 70% at home, but this year it's not been the same. I know the Kings have been on the road a lot though. So that may be one I'm going to kind of dig into more tomorrow, but something I have kind of circled when I see this matchup. But yeah, I mean, I know both teams are a little bit stingier on shots allowed, but I don't always think that matters if both teams shoot a lot. So I will definitely be going right back to some of the wells here of Barkov or Higgy. Maybe lean off to Chuck this time, and maybe Fiala and Kempe. I mean, that's a nice looking same game parlay without even looking at the charts or anything. Nothing terribly sneaky yet. The part of this road trip that's going to get really interesting for Florida, and I know it's not our game tomorrow, but apparently Montour and Ekblad are going to be back for the Anaheim game.
Oh, really?
Which I know Anaheim's a different team now, but I just pulled up my slips from almost just over a year ago when I think every single person on the Panthers had 4 shots on goal that was bettable or more. So that's the game I'm really going to be looking forward to, because yes, Anaheim has been better. They aren't the same team as they were last year, but they're starting to crack a little bit more. Zegras being out kind of, just pushes the forward group around a little bit differently. It's not giving them the correct mixes and matches that you may want. And I think Florida's able to just kind of pounce on these types of teams. I really like that Florida money line look. I think I'll probably dabble in that. Kings are they've been off for a while, right? And they're just getting back from a big road trip. That's always a recipe for disaster for me.
Yeah, Demko, or going back to the old, no, never mind. Ignore that. I was looking through the Vezina odds right now, and Demko at plus 550. I just feel like it's not going to hold up through the season that he's shown.
What's Allmark at?
16-1.
Give me that.
Him or Aiden Hill. I mean, Aiden Hill's not getting any kind of respect in the market, and he's been pretty damn good. I don't know how long that stays, but I mean,
even Swayman too. Swayman's 12-1.
Is he getting the starts though? Maybe that's why he's replaced Allmark.
It's interesting.
I would need to look into that. I mean, would you do Tocchet for Jack Adams?
I'm still of the belief that I think that Vancouver is not who we're seeing.
I am a little bit too, but
I mean, I think I was wrong about how bad their defense was going to be. I really thought it was going to be horrible. I thought they were going to be fine with scoring because their forward depth is great. But
Yeah.
The defense has been what surprised me the most, I think, with this team. So does it hold up? I mean, Tyler Myers is still back there, guys.
Yeah. One of my all-time favorite clips is him just running into the boards by himself. It never fails to make me laugh. Any other looks for tomorrow? Obviously, I think St. Louis shots on goal is going to be pretty self-explanatory.
You don't have
San
many
Jose
options, though.
Yeah, that's a tough one too, of kind of picking that one out. Maybe Tampa Bay shots on goal.
Or hold your horses. You know which one I'm got circled? Brandon Hagelpoint.
Really?
Look at his history against Chicago.
Yeah.
He loves to just pull their pants down and spank them. Just dominates them. I mean, I would probably do a multi-point for him, especially after getting killed by the Blues. There's a weird rivalry still between the Lightning and Chicago, and I do think it's because the Stanley Cup final appearance, obviously. But I think there's a little bit of just kind of the trading between the two teams that has kind of stirred the pot a little bit more too.
If you're gonna look that way too, don't forget Corey Perry revenge as well in that game.
Yeah, if you can get anything.
He scored last time, man. I was
really?
like,
wow.
I don't know if I want to do it, and then he scored. I'm like, damn it, should have done it. So
he's on the top power play.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's where he scored. He scored a power play goal. So
Bedard at home is not the same as Bedard away. Something to take note of.
It's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting
it's probably because of all the like junk food in Chicago and all the just fatty foods. He's like, can't get a good meal around here.
The one guy too for St. Louis that's been like surprising in what he's doing at least is Rob Thomas. Like,
yeah,
he's been scoring goals. Like,
yeah.
I know he's the guy that you're just like you bet his assist and because you can't bet his point prop, and so I'll probably look at that that way. San Jose, I feel like that might be a good value bet because he's probably like plus 200 for a goal. So
yeah, a few back-to-backs as well tomorrow. Islanders own 1 on no days rest, so that's another angle with Seattle trying to kind of find something there. After
Seattle's coming back from Edmonton, so they got to cross the border. I guess both teams have to cross the border.
Yeah.
Well, and again, Islanders coming off the emotional Horvat game. I think Islanders might be live tonight, like to win this game. Which
me too.
I don't want to bet it at all, but it feels like it could be that type of game.
Yeah.
And then go party hard in Vancouver and go down to Seattle and then just fucking
party capital of the world.
That might be
nice little road trip for that.
Usually you can't parlay games like that, right? Like you can't bet Islanders money line tonight and parlay it with Kraken money line tomorrow, right? Can you do that?
Yeah, why not? As long as the odds are out.
I don't think they'll let you do it.
Let me check right now. I've never even trying to consider doing that, of trying to place one tonight.
I was gonna do it on one like last week, and it would have hit, and I was like,
"Yeah, you cannot. Yeah, sorry. Unfortunately, your picks cannot be parlayed."
I'm gonna check on 365. I bet.
What if you do like an open parlay though? You know, like I think offshore books offer that of like
where you can switch it.
Yeah, you basically. It's a game to be named in the future. If you just pick one leg tonight, and then tomorrow you can kind of put that game in.
That might work.
Yeah,
I feel like there should be like good value on something like that. I don't know if they're gonna let you do it, but something to consider if you can find that. If you believe in that type of scenario happening, of course, but might be a good way to get some good value.
Any other looks for tomorrow? Obviously. Be alert. The next few days, we're going to have afternoon hockey, 2 p.m. Thursday, 2 p.m. Friday, and then 11 a.m. Saturday and 8 a.m. on Sunday. So,
baby.
Nice and early for the Global Series.
Great.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, 8 a.m. Eastern, you mean?
Yeah.
Eastern.
Oh, I'll just be going to bed.
Well, you bet the game right before you go to sleep. Perfect.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. As soon as the
At
props
the
come out,
point
you
of the
just,
night where my phone should not be able to be opened. Yes, let's do that.
as soon as the props come out, just bet Nylander for points, anytime goal scorer and shots, and he can
For
just
sure.
close out of that.
Auto
It
bet.
feels like. All right, you guys want to shout out your socials one last time?
Franco the Banker on Twitter.
Gretzky Betzky is on Twitter and part of the Parlay Science Discord.
Awesome. And as always, you can find me on Twitter at GatorBetting and at theoddsbreakers.com for weekly articles. We appreciate everyone for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks.